On today's EMJ PGA podcast, we have a guest host as Ollie Barrett steps in for Ben, who's away on holiday, to talk about Matt Fitzpatrick's win at the Valspar Championship, Bryson DeChambeau's heroics at LIV Golf South Africa, and also look ahead to the Texas Children's Houston Open. This podcast does contain explicit language, but we hope you enjoyed the podcast. Hello and welcome back to the EMJ PGA podcast. This is episode 16, and episode 16 we're getting through the episodes pretty quickly here. Through the weeks, we are counting up towards Masters Week. It is literally round the corner. We're getting excited for it. So excited that my co-host has just jetted off and left me. So in these times of need, if you're watching on YouTube, all right, in these desperate times of need, cometh the hour, cometh the man, because I only contacted this individual 8 hours previous to this recording, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the man is suited and booted from the day job, from the day job that actually happens to be the same as my co-host. I've tapped into the company, and I've said, give me anybody who knows anything about golf, and if you're capable, if you can talk golf for a few minutes, be on the waiting list to come and host the podcast. And thank goodness we have got someone who's willing to take the call. He is the man himself, who you probably haven't met before, but he is the man himself, Oliver Barrett. Ollie Barrett, podcast debut here now. Welcome to the podcast, Ollie Barrett.
Oh, thank you for having me. I know all the viewers were like, bloody hell, Ben's got way better looking, hasn't he? But no, I'm here to take over. Obviously, not as in-depth knowledge as yourself and Ben, but as someone that's played a couple of years, I might know a thing or two, or maybe a bit more relatable for the viewers that aren't quite at the standard of knowledge as you two are usually, of course, because I watch all of them. But yeah, hopefully can add in my 10 cents here and there, and it'd be a good one.
Yeah, I'm keen for it, and I mean, we were just messing around a little bit before we press record here. This could be a funny podcast. Now, we already get Ben in for his sort of crash outs mid podcast, like him actually getting like frustrated at people that are way richer than him and way probably have a life that he sort of craves and aspires to have. He just gets angry at them, and I find that concept quite funny. But I'll be interested to see what Barrett brings to the podcast today. I have a feeling it's not going to be the same, but I think it's going to be equally as entertaining for you listeners and watchers out there. And on top of that, like, our conversations about golf have never really been like on that. They've never really been tour specific. They've never really been like what's going on tour. It's always been about, okay, how can I get better at golf? And I'm going to sing your praises in a second, Barrett. All right? I'm going to sing your praises. Barrett is a really solid golfer. So solid, in fact, fucking frustratingly solid. All right, because just a matter of hours ago, we shared a match.
I've been waiting for this.
Oh my God.
I'm leaving after we talk about this.
Oh my God. We shared the inaugural threesomes match, and for those of you keen watchers and listeners, me and Ben, we were wise enough. We sort of came together, our collective brains, and we came together and we cooked up a golf format, and we were proud of it. And we were so proud of it. We take pride in the fact that we thought that we were going to be decent at this format. Now, as it turns out, our first challengers, the man you can see on camera here now to my right, Ollie Barrett and Jude Kelly, who's been previously mentioned in this podcast, and I'm sure down the line he will appear on the podcast at some stage. We took them on, and I mean, it was going well until it wasn't, and that's where I'm going to pass it over to Barrett, because Barrett has been waiting to talk about this all day. And Barrett, I mean, rate your performance yesterday out of 10, picking up what a match it was. Actually, for the neutral, I feel like it would have been a hell of a match. There was lots going on, but talk to the viewers about your performance personally and on behalf of your team as well.
No, I can only thank you for inventing the threesomes. Like, it's one of my one of my favourite sort of threesomes, I'd say. But no, so yeah, me and my partner Jude Kelly, we played in the morning actually, so it was a 36 holer for us yesterday. Both on an absolute heater in the morning. So we're there at sort of midday yesterday, thinking, all right, we've got a very good chance here, and then we get to about 12:30, and we're both shattered. We're like, no, absolutely no chance we're getting out and beating these boys today. So what do we need to do there? Get in heads early doors, and then we might have a decent chance. So we head up there. We got the format, which is really great, by the way. Did the viewers know the format? 6 scramble, 6 better ball, 6 foursomes. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I'd say we were pretty confident. Like, we both played really well in the morning, but we get to first. We're playing foursomes. You're playing foursomes. And then I've just sort of hit one straight OB right, and then we're thinking, all right, this could go really really wrong today. So then I think first till about fourth, like heads were quite down, and my partner Jude, he's a really really great golfer, way better than I am, but his mentality is is not a strong point, let's say that. So yeah, we were on the fourth, and again I've just topped my drive like straight left. Jude's like, should we just drive back in now? And then so for the next like 3-hole stretch, I'm thinking, Jude, we've got to lock in here. Like we're not out of this. We're not out of this. All it takes is one good shot to get up, and I think that sort of sums up the match yesterday. Had a few good shots, sort of midway round, and then yeah, it was a good match. As in, like, went up and down. It was level for a while, and then what was it? 14, 15. We went 2 up.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so we just on 16 went dormy, and me and Jude like just celebrating loads as if we just won it, and then we sort of both lost balls on 17, and we're thinking, wait, hold on, like, we might still lose this, and then get to 18, and then obviously 1 up, and Euan's just absolutely stiffed it to about 2 feet, and yeah, we're not happy with that. Absolutely shattered, and we're thinking, oh god, like what do we do here? And then at this point, I think Ben was getting really into it. Like he really did not want to lose to myself or Jude, considering his grumpiness for the front 9. And yeah, it was a great match. And then obviously, like, some people have it, some people don't. Up the first, me and Euan go off in foursomes again, and I honestly, I've never seen this man do this, but he is absolutely scuffed it. I want to say 80 yards. Bear in mind, it's like a 170 par 3.
180 straight back up the hill.
Is
Yeah.
it? Oh, well, it went about a third of the way there. And honestly, scenes. I remember walking from the buggy to the tee as if I was like some NBA player, like walking on court, like just so locked in. And then like you've just like scuffed it, like never seen before. I've looked at Jude. I've given him the old like, and then like we could be in it. And then luckily, I've hit a decent one up.
Yeah, a great shot.
And then yeah, it was just it was a good feeling, that really good feeling. But yeah, great match, and great format, good standard of golf as well. There's quite a few birds in there. Really enjoyable. I have to do it again.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously, when Ben gets back from his holiday, we'll get his take on the format. We did have the whole thing on video, and we're just figuring out a way in which we can get as much of those videos as well edited as possible to you guys. But yeah, as Barrett describes there, I mean, we were up against it from such a good start. Me and Ben, team podcast, we're up against it from a good start. And then, to be fair, again, Barrett's strong point, what he played a lot of good shots, but dragging his partner back into it mentally, we thought they were cooked, and then he's managed to do that. And then you guys have got on a bit of a roll. You've used your shots well and in the right times, and we've dragged ourselves back into the match. Dormy 2 down, we get it halved, and then I've just fully forgot what I was actually doing on the planet on the 80 on the first playoff hole. I'm swinging the club, and I remember thinking I remember not thinking nothing. I remember getting to the top of my backswing, thinking that I'm thinking about nothing. And that was a
Weird. Is that what it
yeah.
was?
I got to the top, and then I was like, "Oh shit! I've just realised what I'm doing now." And then, literally on the way down, just I've not chunked a 5 iron like that in a good while.
Yeah, I can
Um,
imagine.
but the one thing I'd say about Stretton, our course that we play on a regular basis, is that first hole is absolutely brutal, and that's the weird thing about it is because I'm always on my P's and Q's on that first tee. It was getting dark. The ball was a bit sort of hazy as well. I just sort of completely zoned out. And Barrett, to be fair, you hit an absolute class one in there on the playoff hole and got the job done. It's a bitter feeling to lose the first threesomes game. Um, and we'll be calling to do that again. We've got to do that again. We've got to do that again, and hopefully on a sunnier day as well. It got a bit cold towards the end there. We were running out of daylight, and hopefully we'll
Yeah.
do it in a way where, as we said, hopefully we can get this version to you guys, but hopefully we can do it in a way where you guys can see it nice and quickly after it's happened, and follow the progress of the match. Because if it's anything like the first one, it would be a hell of a thing to sort of watch. It was a cracking sort of a cracking match indeed, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
no,
And Barry,
yeah.
are you getting back out on the course soon after that? Are you gonna hit it up after soon after that? Because I've never known someone. To be fair, Barrett's been one of my main guys to go to this winter. Barrett's been so keen for the golf this summer, and so have I. I've just been desperate to get out there and play. So Barrett, you're gonna follow up that decent win with another outing on the golf course soon, or are you 36 out, 37 down?
No, I think after that threesomes win, I think I'm actually done. Like, there's no greater feat than that. I mean, obviously, yeah. Granted, we did have shots, and there was some formatting and rules issues potentially there. But there's definitely no asterisks to that win, though. I just want to clarify that to the viewers. Absolutely
There's an
no.
asterisk. They are the holders. They're the holders. But like I described
Well,
about
I
this
think you're
morning,
the holders.
no man. You're going to be holding it. You're going to be holding it after this. When we get the formats right, okay. When we get the formats right, when Team Snuzz, which is when when Team Velo gets their second bite of the cherry, you're gonna be on top of what format you're playing, because honestly there was some slight wrongdoings midway through, well, towards the end of that match, which I'd like to have another look at, another
Yeah,
bite
yeah.
at.
Of
And
course you would, mate.
I promise that we're taking that back. So we've got to get that back. Team podcast, me and Ben. I'll take responsibility for the loss. I missed a couple of short putts in there. I want those back, but then also dragged us back into it. And then hit the worst shot of my life in the playoff, which was an interesting experience to say the least, but a roller coaster nonetheless. And well done to Barrett and Jude for picking up that win. I know Barrett definitely enjoyed that, so fair play to him. Fair play to him. Speaking of people who enjoyed wins at the weekend, we had another Englishman win at the weekend,
Yeah.
Matthew Fitzpatrick. He picks up a victory at the Valspar Championship out in Florida, which hopefully you guys have all tuned in to listen to us wax poetically about the golf at the weekend. There is actually quite a bit of golf to talk about on the two main tours. I slag off LIV Golf a bit, but we're going to talk a bit about LIV Golf
Mm.
later on in the podcast. But Matt Fitzpatrick picking up a win, and it's pretty easy to predict these winners on tour at the moment. Just literally look at the top five in the leaderboard, who went close the week before, pick one of those guys, and you won't be too far off. Ben did that last weekend with Xander Schauffele. He's gone close again, albeit a little bit too late of a charge from him. We'll touch on him a bit later on. But Fitzpatrick picks up the win, and it's not like you couldn't see it coming. Oliver Barrett, did you watch any of the golf or catch up with any of the golf at the weekend? And do you have any initial thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, I didn't get a chance to watch it live, but obviously had work today, so watched the whole thing there pretty much. Did watch the highlights and had a good read through. Like I saw I saw the main talking points, and obviously Fitzpatrick doing us well. Couple of Englishmen up there. Jordan did well, which I like to see. Thinking about next year, Ryder again. Absolutely love the Ryder. So I'm thinking, are they going to be thinking about picking now?
It's a good. I don't think they'll be thinking about picking just yet. I mean, got me confused. What year it was then? What year are we in? What year are we on?
26,
20.
27 Ryder. I was like having a look at some of the boys that did well today. Obviously, it's at home next year, but
Yes.
playing away, like two English boys doing well on a tough course.
I
Um,
agree. I agree.
yeah.
Now, these are people that are definitely. I mean, someone like a Marco Penge, who we're going to talk about in a moment, and then, as you said, Jordan Smith, really solid win, really solid week from him as well. On top of Matt Fitzpatrick, who's going to be in the team, he's a slam dunk pick. But those two guys are definitely going to have it as their goal for the next 18 months is to get in that team, and it'll be interesting to see as a European player, as a rookie, those two would be. It's obviously going to be easier to come in on a home Ryder Cup over in Ireland. The atmosphere will be rocking over there in Ireland. It's probably a bit easier to go into that team in a home Ryder Cup than it is an away Ryder Cup. And it'll be interesting to see if they do get picked as those fringe sort of players, debuts, rookies. Are they going to negatively impact the team, or are they going to maintain or even elevate the team? Which will be interesting, because if they play anything like they did this weekend, they're going to elevate it. But Matt Fitzpatrick, obviously, as I said, he's going to be a slam dunk pick. Really, really informed player. He got asked about whether he's favourite for the Masters or whether he's going to win the Masters, and he sort of jokingly said that he would. But he's in a serious bit of good form at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see if he can keep it up going into a couple of weeks' time at Augusta. Um, Solid week, and the one thing I think as well about these tournaments when the scoring's like pretty low is very very hard for the 54 hole leader to go into that final round and keep the so-called foot on the gas, because the scoring's difficult. It was a really tough layout there at the Copperhead layout at Innisbrook, Florida. And when you're in the lead and there's maybe it's packed together, there's a lot of players on similar score, and the layout's tough. It's so hard to keep that mentality of, okay, I've got to make birdies, I've got to make birdies, and that's what you saw players sort of do. They started to flip up your Snedekers, your Sungjae Ims, just making unnecessary mistakes, missing short-sided. Sand saves was a problem for a lot of players this week. Missing bunkers short-sided. You saw a lot of that on the final day from those players, which was interesting. But Fitzpatrick, bit of a tee to green monster, and then on top of that, like the one strength about Fitzpatrick, which you sort of saw and didn't see, to be fair, because he missed a couple that he probably would have wanted back, is his putting. And if he can keep that forward putting up going into Augusta, he always plays solid round Augusta. You've got to fancy him for a chance. Like, are you looking at Masters picks yet, Barrett? Are you thinking about making any predictions? Because I'm going to make an early
Um,
prediction on this podcast today, actually.
yeah, no, I will be making a couple of predictions, but I just want to point out that in terms of keeping that lead going into that Sunday round, I actually completely disagree with you on that. I want to say like the likes of Sungate, it's your job, isn't it? And you talk about that mentality of you're having to make your birdies, like having to make those putts. You've done it a couple of days before on the exact same course. Just do it again, mate. And I've got to give it to Matt. He's obviously on that heater, but heater of the week. But he's taken that opportunity. He's done very well, birdie on the last. But I just think if you're leading into Sunday, what was he, 4 shots leading Sunday? You
Uh,
can't.
yeah, he was only leading. He was only leading by one going into Sunday, mind
Oh,
you.
was
But
he?
yeah, it was only by one with Sunday. So we're not gonna give him a full bashing for the bottle. It was just the
Okay.
one from David Lipsky who couldn't quite get it going.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I do think that like the best of the best won't do that, and that's why they won't be near my Masters picks.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, like I agree and disagree. I mean, the I disagree on the fact that it's just easy to go out there and play like you've done the last 3 days. I slightly disagree on that, but I do think you can do a little bit better than shooting three over par, which like your son JM did
Yeah.
going in. I mean, if he didn't chip in short-sided on the back nine towards the end of his round, he would have been worse than three over par. So it's difficult. It is difficult, and it's interesting psychologically. We've seen that literally there hasn't been, if I'm not mistaken, since probably Scheffler at the Amex in February, a 54-hole leader convert, and I don't think Scheffler led that tournament going into the last round, mind you. So I don't know if we've had a 54-hole leader convert on the PGA Tour so far this season, which is obviously good for the neutral viewer because it makes it
Mm.
exciting. It keeps a lot of players in the mix, but yeah, no, it's difficult. And just back on Fitzpatrick, just a couple of things I wanted to sing his praises because if you guys haven't seen, just wanted to take you through some really impressive sort of shots in there. And we might go a little bit deeper into this in the later podcast this week because I've got a little bit of an idea of what I want to do for the podcast later on in the week coming up. But Fitzpatrick, some of the shots that stood out to me, obviously he picks up a shot on the third, was a difficult hole all week. So he picks up a birdie there, which was really, really good. And then one of the big moments of the round was his 15-foot par putt on seven. Um, if he doesn't make that, he probably falls a couple of shots off the pace, and then from there, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to get back in it. You know, the psychological impacts of a final round, knowing where all your competitors are. If you're 2 shots back, you might force it. It might force you to drop a couple of shots off the back of it. You know, but the fact that he makes that par putt there on the seventh was absolutely massive. He should have birdied eight straight off the back of it. He absolutely dialed a 4-iron into about 10 foot, missed his putt, which is interesting because, as I said, you always back Fitzpatrick with the flat stick. Um, and then he makes an unreal birdie putt on 15 into a really, really tough pin location, which he went seeking for. Showed how firm it was because he hit a 9-iron there and it released about 10 yards past the flag to about 25, 30 foot, which was weird to see, to be honest, but shows how tough the conditions were. And then should have made birdie on 17, should have wrapped up the tournament on 17.
Yeah.
He was a bit gutted that that didn't go in. I mean, he was a bit frustrated that it missed right, but it didn't really look as in as it maybe did to him from my view. But anyway, he sort of once you miss that birdie putt there, you think, oh, am I going to get another chance? Am I going to get another bite at the cherry? And he did do on 18, as you said, unbelievable birdie. Ryder Cup sort of building those pressure situations, obviously just losing in a playoff style way the players the week before. That would have stood him in good stead to go and make that putt there on 18. So fair play to Matt Fitzpatrick. Um,
Mm.
he could
Yeah.
be in contention come Masters picks.
I
And
think
as we
I
just
think
mentioned, I feel like we have gone on about the contenders just a little bit. But you had David Lipsky there the whole time again, sort of just a little bit going back to the layout there. It must have been tough because he sort of stayed there the whole time in and around the lead, in and around the lead, and he just never really wanted to stick his neck out, make a couple of birdies where it mattered most. Maybe a bit on him, maybe a bit on the layout again as well. You know, birdies won't have been too readily available out there, so he'll probably be quite content with his second place finish there, David Lipsky. Um, and you've got other players in there. We touched on Marco Penge. We'll come back to him in a moment. But Brandt Snedeker, I forgot Brandt Snedeker existed. I'll be
I didn't
honest.
even know he existed, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. So there we go. So we've got Barrett coming in not knowing he existed. But if you're not aware, Brandt Snedeker, growing up, I always remember when I was in probably primary school or maybe just going into secondary school, being absolutely gutted because he won the FedEx Cup once, was like the absolute coveted event on tour. Like that was like the money bag, and it's probably still
Yeah.
is the money bag event on tour. It's obviously like your order of merit for the PGA Tour, and he won that the one year. And I always grew up thinking, oh, whoever wins the FedEx is the best player on tour. And the one time Brandt Snedeker won it, and I thought, what the hell's going on here? And Billy Horschel the same. I thought, look, we can't be having this. Like this is ridiculous. And fair play to Brandt Snedeker, obviously. Like no disrespect to him, but he was a really solid player. I mean, even though I was a bit gutted that he won the FedEx that one year, I was a bit low key fuming. Like he's been a solid player for a long, long time. I always think, and I had a putting lesson once a few years ago, around probably when he was in his prime, and I still see the effects of it now. Not that I necessarily want to work it out, because I like the idea of people being positive through impact with their putts. Okay, but if you watch Brandt Snedeker's putting stroke, it's really short, really sharp, and really aggressive and positive through the golf ball. And I think that I suffer from that a bit too much with my own putting stroke. I remember having a lesson the one time. and we modelled the stroke around Snedeker's, and it always makes me think of that. So he was in contention, and funnily enough, he three-putted on the 12th hole, which saw the end of his chances really, which he was gutted about as well. He's 45 years of age and he hasn't won since 2018, and
Oh,
he was
typical.
he's a bit frustrated that he couldn't get it done there. So yeah, some players that just couldn't really get on the heater come Sunday, apart from Matt Fitzpatrick, who just shot a really steady 68, 3 under par. So an interesting golf tournament. Again, we've had loads of interesting golf tournaments there. And
Is it sorry, is it
go on,
true
go on.
that Fitzpatrick records all of his shots, like every single one?
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
That is actually mad. What, like even on the range and stuff?
I believe so. I believe so. Now, I'm not gonna go out on a limb and say on the range, but I do believe absolutely every shot in
Mm.
tournaments, and he's done it since he was like 14 or something like that.
I remember watching a yeah, like it was like a really like professional, in-depth like interview with him with Tubes.
Yeah, too.
And yeah, and he
No, I
was
do.
saying he came across like a really I really like Fitzpatrick. Like
Yeah.
comes across really nice, but he was saying yeah, like records every single one of his shots, and I think is he got to be in the minority there of tour players, or do you think a lot of them will do that?
No, not to that extent. He makes handwritten notes on every single shot,
Yeah.
and then again, I haven't listened to him talk about this in probably a couple of years or so since he picked up the US Open, I don't think. And he has some sort of way of formatting everything that he's wrote and then converting it. I mean, this is the thing me and you would probably be the same, but like if you're a tour pro, you'll have PJ Tour officials and people that come down and record to the exact spot of where your golf ball goes every single time. There's
Mm.
people that will be able to do that for you, but the one thing they can't do is maybe talk about how it felt off the club face,
Yeah.
and what the strike was like. And again, you might detail course management sort of positives or errors in there as well to his notes. Um, and that attention to detail is definitely something that when he wins is something you can look back at and go, okay, well, this is a reason why, and very diligent, and it'll probably be a reason why he stays on tour for a good while, because he
Yeah.
won't fall off, because again, that's keeping on top of things is what you've got to do uh, as part of being a pro and living life on tour. Awesome from Fitzpatrick, and it's been a golf swing that I've not been a fan of the last few years. Like I feel like I've been a passing comment, but I followed Matt Fitzpatrick round a good few times up at the Scottish Open.
Mm.
I remember speaking to him the one time in between holes, which was a bit of a weird experience. And yeah, he is a sound guy, really nice guy. But I've never been a massive fan of his golf swing until the last few weeks, where I've heard his coach Mark Blackburn talking about it, and that's going to be something that we're going to revisit. As I said, there's something coming up for future podcasts. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive into some sort of really technical details. But yeah, ever since the last few weeks, I've just started to become even more of a fan of his move, and yeah, it's obviously working ultra efficiently for him at the moment. So Matt
Mm.
Fitzpatrick, he is on the radar for Masters picks. Has he peaked a little bit too early? You could
Yeah,
make the argument.
definitely.
Has he got a win out there? Does he have two wins in the space of what, 3 or 4 weeks in him? One at the
No.
Masters, even even he openly admitted that like the Masters stands above all the other majors, which for him is a pretty a big take. But I understand what he means. Um, you can tell there's going to be that added pressure when he pegged it up on Thursday at Augusta. So it'll be interesting to see if he can come through that and get it done.
Yeah, I think with your Masters, obviously Fitzpatrick, fair play, mate. You've done very well. He got three career wins on PGA Tour.
Yes, correct.
He's done the US Open. For me, as someone that's obviously not as well knowledged, I just see the Masters as like the pinnacle almost, and for me, he just lacks aura, is the best way to put it. As in, yeah, like I remember watching. I think it was like the youth or the junior Ryder Cup, and I
Okay.
think him and maybe his brother or something was playing,
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, yeah, like he looks classy. He's obviously very good. Obviously, I wasn't watching at the time, but I remember thinking, oh, I like Fitzpatrick. Like, I hope he does well. And but you just see, yeah, records all of his shots. He just does look a bit sneaky for a Masters win. You know what I mean? He's not like if like you know the videos of them putting on the jackets, like someone's putting on his jacket. Can I see that in my head? Probably not.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I'm not going to go as far out on a limb and say that, but I do know what you mean. He's maybe not your bedroom wall poster golfer for
No.
kids, and maybe he can be. Maybe winning the Masters makes him into that
Yeah,
person.
well, no, yeah, 100% it
But
does.
it transforms you overnight. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see. And then on top of that, a massive because there's a couple of talking points which we can get into and discuss. Um, he had to deal with slow play, and he made an
Oh
official
yeah.
complaint about slow play on the Sunday. And that's another thing as well that the PGA Tour, I mean, it can be a slog if you're going to watch it from start to finish. I've actually been really impressed with the pace of play of the Sundays that I've watched live so far this year. I've been really impressed. We had a playoff one of the weeks, which obviously drags out a little bit longer than you'd expect, but it won't be the same for the majors because obviously these players are working all their lives to win a major. So you're going to get your 5 hour final rounds. You might even get a 5.5 hour final round if you're not careful. But I have been really impressed with the pace of play so far this year on tour from afar. Not this week though, because again, Fitzy wasn't too happy, making complaints about his playing partner not being ready to play when obviously his shot had finished and concluded on the Sunday, and just slowing down. And it does put you off. You see it with darts players quite a lot, and I always find it funny in darts when you have like a slow darts player versus a quick darts player because it is just so noticeable. Like when you're watching only two people, it's so noticeable.
Mm.
But what people forget when you're watching it on the TV, you're not watching just those two players. So if you're not privy to the exact rhythm of that round or that pairing, then it's so much worse being in that group and having to almost match the pace of your playing partner. Barrett, can you stand slow play?
One thing I will say, who is he paired with? The one that was playing slow. He has
Yeah,
one of the coolest names I've ever
yeah, I
seen.
know, I know.
I can almost say that it's all right because of his name. But
Okay.
one thing I will question as someone that hasn't played too many rounds that have been noticeably long is that if say you're on tour, if you get more time to think about your shot and how you're going to play it, more time to talk with your caddy, is that not an advantage? Or do you think because they're sort of in the motions, obviously Fitzpatrick's on that general heater,
Mhm.
is he sort of like he wants to keep it going, keep that momentum, or is it not better to sort of have that extra time to think about it more and more?
Yeah, so great question. I think it's definitely a negative because of how inbuilt your internal clocks and internal rhythms and your pre-shot routines are. Okay, one of my favorite things are, and I'm working with a few players at the moment that are trying to build in a pre-shot routine that is going to be consistent. Like all a tour pro ever asks, okay, sometimes they're not even that asked about the score that they shoot, as long as it's obviously not ridiculous, as long as it's solid. Sometimes they're just on about, we talk about processes a lot of the time. We said that last week with Ben, we talked about our goal setting podcast and the processes in which we need to carry out. There was a video where it was like Tiger Woods' pre-shot routine from 2019 and then his pre-shot routine from 2000, and they were completely random shots. Obviously, I'll never know if they were random shots because it was a post,
Mm.
but it was two completely random shots, full swing pre-shot routines, and the process from first practice swing to contact with the ball was within zero point 0.5 of a second different
Really?
in the process. So there is literally like a thing that you have to take place. And then, no, I know what you're saying, that's in between shots, but sometimes you don't want to have a second look. Like, let's just say you've got a narrow tee shot, okay? This is what people find when they're having a practice round at a venue and you're hitting a tee shot. You can't sometimes see the trouble that's right or left. Okay, so when you're going through your process, you might pick a target in the distance, which is what you should be doing every single time off the tee, in my opinion. Picking a target in the distance that you think is appropriate for the line that you're taking, and committing to that target, bang, okay. But then when you walk past the hazards that you've just hit it, and you realise, oh shit, I've just hit it in a 15-yard gap window, and
Yeah.
if I'd known that back there, I might not have done it. That's something that might be going through your head, as to go, okay, well, actually, when I think about it, if I have a bit more time to think about it, I wouldn't have hit that shot.
Yeah,
Now,
no, I do agree with that.
they would have gone through that in the practice rounds. They would have known where all the hazards are. But let's just put that into perspective from a green reading perspective. You don't want to look too long at a putt. Once you've decided, let's go, let's commit to it, let's start your pre-shot routine, because obviously you're going to get pulled up for slow play if you do think about every single putt for too long as well. There's so much that goes into it. And then you've got a small talk with your caddy, sort of almost feel like you're switching off in between shots. I feel like there's a massive part of it as well. Saw Morikawa do it a few weeks ago. He was trying to close out the win at Pebble Beach, and Jacob Bridgman, who funnily enough is having a great year, was literally down on the beach messing around for a good 15-20 minutes, and Morikawa had to stand there and literally wait 20 minutes talking to his caddy before he hit the biggest shot of his tournament that instance. So slow play is a bit of a killer. And you just got as someone who's learned to make sure that you manage your pre-shot routine, and also learned to just pick a target and commit to it and not overthink it too much. I feel like you'd rather be on that side of the coin than taking too long and playing with someone.
Yeah, I do think like the point you make about overthinking, I can really understand that in terms of if, yeah, I mean, say you're leading or something on the Sunday, and you like you said, you've got somewhere narrow, you've got hazards left or right. You're thinking, right, let me just step up to this and do what I know, how to do it. And if you're probably slightly second guessing yourself for about a second,
Yeah.
that can do it. And if they're there for 20 minutes second guessing themselves, it's going to be in your head, isn't it? So
Literally.
I get it from that perspective, but I don't know. I just think because obviously I don't really know what these tour boys do in terms of speaking to their caddy. Are they 99% like locked in, like talking to them,
They
getting
will
advice?
100% be talking about like I don't know, what TV program were you watching last night? Like in
You
between.
reckon?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Really?
And it's interesting. It's interesting that so as an American sports fan as well, there's a show called Hard Knocks, which is documenting American football team in the training camp phase going into the season. Okay, and it's pretty much like a will they make the team or won't they make the team sort of series. But obviously in there you've got they're all the players are mic'd up in practice, so you can hear what they're saying basically whilst they're practicing. Well, very similar to like the way that the Full Swing did it on Netflix as well. Like the PJ Tour and Hard Knocks have done a collaboration for the players, and I don't know if it's an ongoing thing, but it's basically the players mic'd up. Like they've picked a few players mic'd up, so they just follow their stories of the tournament whilst they're mic'd up the whole time, and that'll be really interesting. I haven't watched it; I've seen clips, but I bet you 100% the amount of just random stuff that they talk about is brilliant for people who want to make TV, and probably for people who don't really like golf
Yeah.
as well. Because I think people who don't like golf or watch golf think that us golfers are out there 90%. I mean, think about our round, for instance. Like if we have an
Yeah.
18-hole knock, okay, how many like in between shots are we going like Barrett, like you've got a tough left to right here and it's a bit down the hill with the wind into, like, or are we going like, wow, that night out last night was unbelievable. Like what holidays are we cooking and what have we watched recently? Like the
Yeah, I
amount of
mean,
little small talk.
our knocks aren't for 9 mil, though, are they?
Yeah, you
Really?
see that 9 mil becomes like $9 for these dons. They don't care.
Yeah,
They've got to stick to their process, and that
I
would be
guess so.
interesting. That
Yeah.
would be interesting, and I feel like that's a massive thing as well. Like as I said, I do. I am working with players who want to improve their tournament performance, and that's one of the big things that I speak to them about. Is there's a golf mode, and then there's a away from it mode. Another great stat is I feel like when you total up the time taken, I don't think this includes routines. I feel like it would be a bit inflated, but the time it takes for you to hit all of your shots combined in an 18-hole round of golf totals up to about 4 minutes. And we're out there for 4 hours. So, okay, the pre-shot routines in and around that probably blow that up to something like maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, something like
Mm,
that. But you've still got 3.5 hours of actually walking from your shots, waiting for other people to play their shots. There's so much psychologically that goes on the golf
yeah.
course, and Yeah, it must be difficult. It must be difficult. So if you do know you're a bit of a slow player or you're taking too long on your pre-shot routine, second guessing yourself, again, you're always better when you don't second guess yourself. So just have a think about that next time. See a target, pick it, commit to it, and go from there. And I'm sure things will turn out just fine for you. Really good PGA Tour review of the Valspar. We'll come back to the PGA Tour in just a few minutes' time when we preview the Texas Children's Houston Open, which again bodes to be another solid golf tournament, which I'm looking forward to watching. Before that, great timing to have you on the podcast, by the way, because we want to talk LIV Golf. We want to talk LIV Golf for a little bit, and LIV Golf this week was in South Africa, and you are a man of South African heritage, I believe. Like,
I
explain to
am,
me
yeah.
how what and heritage, or whether you are actually South African. I never actually know.
So no, I was born in Hermanus near Cape Town. Why? I don't know. I think my I think my parents were there, just lived out there,
Yeah,
and then yeah, I was born, I guess, and
well done.
then moved. Yeah, cheers for that. And then obviously just upgraded to Church Stretton a few years later. Take me back, but yeah. So obviously being a South African ish person, I can only um, apologise for everyone for that scrap that was going on there.
We're gonna come on to that. We're gonna come on to that
Oh, is it?
because that is what. No, in fact, whilst we're on it, let's talk about it. I mean, we've seen some good scraps, and we don't advocate this. We don't advocate this. So you just watch it. It's brilliant to watch on social
Yeah,
media. Obviously, awful when you're probably involved and it ruins your whole weekend, but brilliant to watch on social media. Seen a good couple of scraps. I didn't see many at the Phoenix Open, which was surprising. I was expecting to see a bit more combat there from the drunk Americans that got involved over in Phoenix, but did see some in Cheltenham. For those of you, and we do have international listeners now. In the last few weeks, so for those of you
really.
not, yeah, for those of you unaware, Cheltenham is our big horse racing festival that we have each year, and yeah, a bit of booze involved it quickly turns into sort of a massive WWE style brawl. So I saw a little bit over at Cheltenham, but then I think the biggest mass brawl was at LIV Golf South Africa. And what's your review on that? Overall thoughts?
Well, I had a good think about this, and for me, it doesn't sum up Live, but I do think that they're buzzing with it. Like the whole thing with Live is the atmosphere and the viewership. Like that's the whole USP. So then like they're able to give out these fatty contracts because they're getting clicks on videos um on watching it. So they're seeing this. It's getting millions and millions of views, and it will continue to do. And people are enjoying it. They're getting hella cash for it. Like they'll, I'm sure Liv will be like, oh yeah, obviously it was so bad. But I genuinely think that they're actually buzzing with that.
Yeah, yeah. There's potential. There's potential for it. I mean, I imagine they'll have had a stadium hole set up there on the compound, and the beers will have been flowing, the alcohol will have been flowing, and God knows what
Yeah,
started it as well. Like, not looking too deep into it, but God knows what started it. It's the same for the one at Cheltenham. Like, I go, what could possibly have kicked off? It just shows sometimes what a bit of alcohol can do to the system. But yeah, it turned
yeah,
into an absolute mass brawl going on. There were people involved that I didn't even see on the
yeah,
camera. Like, it was all kicking off there at the conclusion of events at Live. Um, and that followed an unbelievable sort of playoff, which, I mean, as I said, me and Ben have joked before, okay, there's a couple of decent players on Liv, but I tune in for Liv for how's DeChambeau playing and how's Rahm playing, and
yeah,
are there any other names getting involved who are somewhat in the primes of their careers? And do you know what? There's a couple of players they've recently signed a really highly ranked amateur, or was a really highly ranked amateur player, Michael Lasasso, who actually really had a really solid week this week. So they're definitely trying to tap into that younger market, which is interesting because it feels like the organisation is on its last legs. Or is it? Because as you said, you talk about living for clicks, and I actually massively agree with that. You've got the fights going on in the car park, but then you've also got Bryson DeChambeau hitting shot of the year contenders
Yeah.
in a playoff with John Rahm in your two biggest names on the tour. You're having a playoff against each other, and the shot to win it is a shot like that from DeChambeau. 300 yards, ball below your feet, from like the muddiest, wettest, trampled down lie from like, oh, you got it placed, but so muddy, so wet. Crowd trampled it down. Um, and he just absolutely nukes this shot. 300
Yeah.
yards. I'm quick to slag off DeChambeau, but there's not many players. In fact, there's two players in the world that I think can hit that shot. I don't think Scheffler can hit that shot, even though he's the best player in the world. I think it's him or Rory can only hit shots like that in the world of golf. And he's keeping LIV afloat. He is the absolute poster boy for LIV. And as long as he's there, I think LIV will have a future. As soon as he leaves, I think it's dead in the water. But unbelievable. And yeah, any thoughts on that shot from DeChambeau?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I'm quick to slag off Bryson. Like last week, was it crying about that Don missing that putt? Like, oh, mate, how much money has he just won there? Like, you're not upset at all. Like, stop doing that. And then, oh yeah, look at me. I'm like hitting the ball over my house. Like, oh. I'm not here for it at all. But I'm like everyone else. I can't stop watching it. And then when he goes and hits shots like that, and then I think it was the same on um, was it 11 or 14? Just like absolutely nukes one. Um, you just like you can't help but watch. It's like that that bowler with the thing. It's like hate me or love me, you watch. That's all you could do. And honestly, it feels like that because it's like I really everything about this man, I I don't like, but it's just he is he is a special golfer, and I
Yeah,
just when I look at his swing, I don't see like a natural like beautiful motion sort of beautiful swing with lovely tempo and stuff. But I mean, he's worked it out in a sort of
yeah,
very very in depth way. He's obviously been with how many coaches
yeah,
for years and years, and he it works, doesn't it? Really, and he's
yeah.
obviously he's a big boy, so he does well on those long courses, going back to back. It's like you can only credit him, but it is very jarring.
See, it is. He is an interesting character. I'm warming to him. A few years ago, I thought, what the hell's going on? I mean, he famously rocked up to Augusta and called it a par 67,
Yeah,
which was the funniest thing that we've heard in a long time. And I think he's only shot under 67 a couple of times since,
yeah, I
which is
saw that.
quite crazy. And looking back, I think as he sort of gets a bit older and wiser, I think he understands that some of those comments that he's made were just a bit outrageous. He famously has a PhD. Again, these are stuff that practices that he used to play the one length irons, one length clubs. And some of the things, some of the values are probably still carried over, and I feel like that's part of the genius as well, is that you believe something to a point where you go, okay, I'm going to fully commit to this. I'm going to practice my arse off to sort of prove that, okay, well, this is the way I've worked things out, and this is the proof in the pudding that it all works. Bulked himself up, sort of. Well, he was really really slim coming onto tour, bulked himself up ridiculously. Now he's sort of in between, isn't he? So he's done all that sort of gimmick. Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable, and I'm going out on a limb. I think he wins the Masters this year. I think he's won back to back. He's won back to back events now on LIV, and I take the mick out of LIV, but it's still solid golf to win there back to back events on different courses, different sides of the world. Yeah, okay, they are having a couple of weeks off, most weeks in between, but you've still got to be the best of the best, and you've still got to be on it to win those golf tournaments. There's a good size of field and decent depth of field there. As I said, there's younger players in there. You're not just stacking it up with your Poulters, your Westwoods, like you probably were a couple of years ago, and just only a few of the elite. There's some good players there, solid players who could beat you at any given week. Only a couple of weeks ago, we gave Carlos Ortiz Heater of the Week shooting 9 under par. We're going to come on to Heater of the Week in a moment. But it's so hard to win golf tournaments, that to win two events in a row, he's always up there. He's hitting shots like that. I think he's going to win, and he's got a good record round Augusta as well. He should have ran McIlroy closer last year. It'd be
Yeah, he
frustrating if he
bottled
didn't.
that. He big bottle there.
He might have bowled that again. If poor Sunday round, he'll be fuming and he'll have that in his mind. And I feel like I'd be shocked if he doesn't pick up a green jacket when it's all said and done. I just feel like he's
Really?
that. Yeah, I feel like he's that guy that can do it. He's so creative. As Ben sort of rightly mentions, we all go on about his long game, but his short game's ridiculous as well. His little shots around the green, you don't picture him as that sort of guy, but he's so creative in and around the green, which you've got to be at Augusta. That's hence the reason he's got such a good record. Bryson DeChambeau is going to be my pick come a couple of weeks' time, and I don't think I'm going to sway off it. I've seen enough, which. We'll see what happens. Watch him go miss the cut, but we'll see what happens. That's the thing about Bryson. He's got anything in him. Like if he pegs it up and goes 5 over on Thursday, I will not be surprised. But then he can come back and get on the most insane heater of heaters. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see.
Definitely.
LIV Golf, well done. South Africa, first time they've had a LIV Golf event. They seem to enjoy it. It's like they've I sort of made a comment about South Africa last week. I said that I don't think I'll ever visit there just because I'm so scared of it. But they acted like they'd never seen a golf tournament before, the fans out there in South Africa, which I suppose that's what LIV wanted them to do, but it seemed like they were pumped and up for it. So I'm sure they'll be going back next year, and I'm sure
didn't it have the highest attendance of like any golf tournament?
Oh, that is a great claim, and I don't know.
Did I read today that yeah, I think there was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
We'll fact that.
We'll fact check that. We will fact check that. I
feel like I read that.
In. Yeah, we will edit this in right now, whether that's true or not. But let's just presume it is. Take one, and then we'll just do another take, presuming it isn't.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
That is unbelievable if they have, and that's the thing about these Africans. It's the same with like the Ali versus Foreman Rumble in the jungle. Sort of the Africans come out en masse when they like something, and yeah, fair play to them over there. They enjoyed it, so good to see them out there enjoying it, and it'll be interesting to see if we have another fight and brawl at the next LIV event. Okay then, that is our review of the weekend's golf just gone. I hope you're still with us, and I hope you're enjoying the review. We've got some really, really good talking points so far. But now it is time to come to our coveted awards that we give out each week, and Barrett obviously hasn't had the chance to give out one of these awards just yet. I'm sure Ben on his holidays will be watching keenly to see what he does. But first, of course, it is arguably the most important award of the podcast, and it is this week's Heater of the Week. I'm so keen for this. Heater of the Week. Heater of the Week. Heater of the Week. Heater of the Week. Around 260.
He's kind of on a heater.
A 9 under par Sunday round 63.
One of my greatest heaters.
4 birdies in a row, 12 through 15, and then another one on 17 to seal the deal. His bogey 3, 63. In terms of the heat of the heater, 62, 10 under par. You are my Heater of the Week for this week. And we're back with another Heater of the Week. Barrett, your first Heater of the Week. How are you feeling about this?
I mean, I'm honoured to give this coveted award. I know it's a huge honour to have Heater of the Week, and there is a couple of contenders in my head going into it. I did have a long think today, obviously. A recent call up to this podcast, but it was the first thing on my mind. What I would say is, obviously, we've spoken a lot about Fitzpatrick and DeChambeau, and I think both of those I think one of them has to get it, really. Both done very well. Bryson back to back. But I'm actually going to give it to Fitzpatrick because, I just don't want to give it to DeChambeau. Purely because he used to wear that like stupid little cap thing. I used to hate that. But and I think Fitzpatrick to go from the players missing it by 1, I think that's like to miss it by 1. I think the next week he'll be thinking that in terms of a motivation that he wants it. Like you really want this. You've been disappointed last week. Obviously, you just made a hell of a lot of money, but obviously you do want the win. And then that part on 18 for birdie, that a huge fist pump. I know he's thinking, I really don't want to bottle this. Like, I really, not bottle it, but he really wants this essentially from last week. And I think to have the balls to go and just make that, shoot really solid scores, and do it after that disappointing loss, I'm going to give it to Matt Fitzpatrick.
There we go. There we go. Barrett's heat of the week, and I completely agree. I completely agree with that. I mean, you've got to be on a really, really. I mean, it's a heater, and it's a heater. What that heater is like that heater that you've like forgot to turn off in your house. So what it's done, like it's not like an on and then like straight to boiling heat, but it's accumulated heat over the last few weeks, and he's got his reward for it with winning heater of the week, and I feel like I can massively get on board with that. Just again off the back of that award, we will obviously still keep it for Fitzpatrick, but few players really going low on LIV, in particular Tom McKibbin, who shot 9 under par 62 in his third round, 7 birdies, 1 eagle, 0 bogeys. He'll be disappointed not to pick up heater of the week, but as I said, it's Barrett's prerogative.
Yeah, no, he doesn't get it, I'm afraid. He's
Barrett's
done all right there.
prerogative.
He's done all right, but he's not heater of the week. Because I feel like you have to take it from the week.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it has like
Interesting.
fair play. Like he's been on that heater, but that's heater of the day.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
Like
And that's your view.
yeah.
Listen, as guest of the podcast and as having the honor of giving the heater of the week, that is your prerogative to be able to do that, and give out that award accordingly. So you've given out heater of the week, Barrett, okay? But here's an interesting question: do you have a flop of the week? Because this is Ben's award that he usually gives out. Do you have a flop of the week which you'd like to give out on the podcast as well?
Yeah, I would actually. And again, I had a good thought about this. Like who has been awful this last weekend of golf? And in I thought, what sort of player would Ben think? Obviously, it's his award. And then I thought, actually, my flop of the week goes to team podcast member Ben Hartshorn for playing awful this weekend. Really bottled that threesomes match. Didn't play his best golf out there. Just couldn't get going. Didn't hit his irons well at all, really. Euan did have to carry a bit there. Maybe made one putt on 11, which I'm sure you'll see in future videos. But aside from that, I'm not sure there's any highlights from the podcast host Ben Hartshorn. So he will be my flop of the week this week.
There we go. Heater of the week, Matt Fitzpatrick. Flop of the week, Ben Hartshorn for Team Podcast. I can't condone or agree with that as my teammate, and I feel like we're locked in for future matches. I can't condone the flop of the week shout. But again, as I said about the Heater of the Week award, it's Barrett's prerogative who he gives the award to, and it's at this point in the podcast we've just got to go along with it and agree with it. So unlucky Ben Hartshorn. He's dished it out to a few players over the last few weeks. I'm sure he'll be happy to have the reins back. He'll be more than welcome to get the reins back next week and give out the award. I mean, next week. So we'll see. We'll see how he copes with that. We'll see how he fares. Good awards. And that is the review done from the weekend and the week just gone. Looking ahead, as we always do on the Tuesday podcast, to the Texas Children's Houston Open. We'll get through this nice and quickly for you guys, okay? Again, there's a bit to preview, but not an awful lot here. These are the perfect. I mean, these guys teeing it up here are obviously, apart from the guys that are desperately trying to qualify for the Masters, this is just, okay, tick a box, tournament reps. Can we put ourselves in a position to fight for a win here and just give ourselves that feeling for putting ourselves in contention? And going through those Sunday final round preparations and those processes that you need to get out the way for the big one. This and the Valero Texas Open that we've got coming up the weekend after, are just those sorts of events. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week. Solid field. We've got Scotty teeing it up this week, which will be interesting. As a Texas native, I'm pretty sure he might have some obligations to tee it up the next couple of weeks. I don't know if he's teeing it up next week, but he's definitely teeing it up this week. And in particular, again, we're going to talk about our picks in just a moment. I'm going to give Barrett a chance to make his prediction for this weekend. But yeah, just on that note, I mean, if you do like Scotty Scheffler to win this week, I think there's some definite evidence to suggest that he might do. He's finished second 3 of the last 4 years he's been in.
Yeah, I had that down as my notes. I'm thinking it'll be hard to argue against him this year.
It could be. It could be. But the only issue is he's not playing great golf. He's just had a week off now. He's just had a week off just now. He was getting a little bit frustrated at the players. Feel like he was lashing out at reporters a couple of times and just sort of being a little bit off, probably out of frustration with his game and the expectations that he sets for himself. But it'll be interesting to see if he's bounced back with that week off. I feel like there's something that come Masters week, it's going to be hard to properly bet against him. But I have a feeling that something's not quite there with Scheffler's game at the moment, and I don't know how long I need him to win to prove me otherwise, or get back in contention to prove me otherwise at the moment. But you are completely correct. So off the back of that, do you have anyone that you like this week, Barrett? Because obviously I am the only one that's made a correct prediction so far in this podcast's history. So
Ooh.
you've got a chance, and this could be an unbelievable moment because it could be 1 for me, 1 for you, and 0 for Ben, who's had about 17 bites of the cherry, with a correct prediction here. So think carefully about what you're going to do.
Yeah, I've already thought about it, and I'm gonna think boring. In that, I am gonna back Scotty purely because I think, yeah, we don't know about next week, but I think he's using this as almost not a practice round, but a round to get back into it. Like obviously he hasn't been great, but like you said, in the last 4 years, second every time, and like so he obviously knows the course, is very well on the course. I just think I saw a stat the other day as well. Sorry to this is random,
No, go
but
on.
I saw that if you'd have put a
I saw it.
hundred, oh my god, this is mad. If you'd have put like $100 on every tournament he's played in the last few years or something, the return is like 65% or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you'd be up about 5 grand,
yeah.
um,
That's
which is
mental.
ridiculous. But so anyway, I just wanted to get that in
No, no, no,
there.
that's fair. That's fair. It made me feel daft for not doing it, but then remembering that I might have lost my mind if I'd have done it as well.
Yeah, no. So yeah, that's a nuts stat. He hasn't played his best recently, but I think he'll be using this weekend to get back to his best. Really sort of lock in before the Masters. Obviously, he wants to pick another one up. Um, and I just think he'll be using this weekend to properly lock in.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. I got you. And I think it's a very sensible prediction. It'll be interesting to see if he wins. And I feel like if you're going to have one prediction to get back, maybe level terms with myself, and to get in front of Ben on the predictions front, you pick Scheffler, and then on top of that, his record at this event is really really solid. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be up for winning it again in his home state of Texas. I'm sure he'll want to pick up the crown here. Whilst Ben's away, I'm going to just before I do that, okay, I'm going to just mention a wild card, just looking through the stats and doing a little bit of a nerdy sort of glaze over the stats like I usually do before the podcast every week. If you fancy a wild card bet this week, I like Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian. He's finished the top 20 in this event the last 3 years. And he's playing solid golf, so he likes this golf course. He has a good course fit rating, which, as we've said about the last few weeks, that takes in your strokes gained stats, the ones that it takes to be the most successful on this golf course the last few years, and then obviously translates it to how you've performed in those categories this year. And he's got a good rating at that. It's not amazing, but it's good. It's the top end. And as I said, he's got a good record around the golf course. So Yeah, I reckon this suits Mackenzie Hughes' eye if he can get the job done. As I said, it's not the most amazing field in the world, so it wouldn't be surprising to see a pop-out winner like that. But Ben's away, and I'm going to take the opportunity to pick his favourite player in Brooks Koepka because I
Man,
think that I'm in the business of picking winners here, and I feel like I'd be stupid. I mean, again, our thing is with Brooks, he doesn't really like winning these PGA Tour events, but something about him when he's come back to the tour, I just feel like something's a bit different with him this time. I feel like I'm seeing a different Brooks Koepka to maybe the one that left for LIV. Um, he looks a little bit more well-rounded as a person. I feel like he's a bit more in touch with himself and his game for that matter. Um, he's obviously worked with Pete Cowan the last few months and probably over a year now he's worked with Pete Cowan. He's recently changed putter and putting coach to get back on track with the flat stick. And he's the only player in the field, funnily enough, who's finished in the top 20 in their last three starts. And on top of that as well, he did get cut the last time he was here a few years ago, but the time before that he finished fifth. So he knows how to play a good week around this golf course. I think Brooks Koepka's going to run close this week, or he's going to
yeah,
run out of gas and have a bad week. But
I
I
had
think
I
he's
had
going to win.
Brooks down to be fair for I thought after giving Ben flop of the week, I'd better sort of give him a bit of credit. So I was going to pick Brooks for Ben's sake, but I did see that he got cut in his last round there. So I was thought I can't back him for that if he has that sort of capacity to do that. But yeah, I do agree that is a good choice. To be fair, um,
Yeah,
I think he could go low. I do agree. I think he has come back more locked in. Like you don't see the any outbursts or
no,
um any aura offs or like any anything bad with Brooks now. I think he's locked into his golf. He's come back, got his money, and then he's gonna be he's gonna be hunting for some titles now. I think.
I think so. I think I do agree. I do agree, and it'll be interesting to see if he can add a Houston Open win to that trophy cabinet, that pretty decently big trophy cabinet. Okay then, that brings us to the end of the podcast here today. We have reviewed and previewed the weekend's golf coming up, or on the PJ Tour weekend coming up. Um, Oliver Barrett, thank you very much for stepping in and co-hosting this podcast here today. It won't be the last time we see you because we've got some plans going forward with the podcast and we've got some little features that we want to try and run coming up. So if you did enjoy Oliver's cameo here today, he will be back soon. He will be back soon. And
Love that.
but massively appreciate you stepping in on late notice to
No,
co-host
hey.
the podcast. And yeah, like, how have you found your first well, probably your first podcast experience, but EMJ PJ
Yeah.
podcast debut?
No, well, thank you very much for having me. It's been an honor. I've absolutely loved it, and like I said at the start, I'm not as well rounded maybe as yourself and Ben in terms of knowing everything about the game that we love and about all the players and stuff. But I think I've got a relatable sort of mindset in that I love the game. I'm a very average player, and but yeah, I think it's a great podcast. You can learn a lot from it as well. And yeah, I'm sure. Well, I hope I'll be back soon with a few bits and bobs here and there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You're going to be more than welcome back. And as you just said, then, like, if you don't learn enough or you don't learn adequately from this podcast, that's something that we're looking to address this week. So the later podcast this week isn't going to be a guest podcast. Obviously, our guest spot has seemingly been filled and definitely been filled, in fact, by Barrett's cameo today. But the later podcast is just going to be me, and we're going to be talking a bit more in depth about some of the players that we've watched this past week and the week that we've got coming up, as well as some other little things, technology updates and things like that for you, of which we want to try and make it a regular occurrence on the podcast as well. So hopefully you guys can get nice and clued up later on in the week, and that'll be on Thursday. But for now, thank you very much to all of you who have listened. Please keep sharing the podcast. As I said, we've recently gone international with the viewership and the listenership with the podcast, which I've been told, and that is greatly appreciated. So thank you to all of you out there for listening, however far and wide you may be doing so. We will catch you later on in the week, and we hope you enjoy the golf upcoming. Thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you next time.